Price of Wada Pav. Arav was a software engineer who had finally found his rhythm in the heart of Pune. After years of late-night coding and grueling interviews, he had landed a role in his beloved hometown. He cherished the city's unique charm, the misty hills during the monsoon, and the comfort of the streets he grew up on. To him, success felt like a quiet morning spent building something meaningful from his own desk. The best part of his day was every evening when the aroma of home-cooked spices filled the small apartment. Arav would sit at the dining table, sharing the day's technical triumphs and bugs with his mother, Anjali. She listened with quiet pride, her hands busy serving him a warm, home-cooked meal. In those moments, surrounded by the warmth of family, Arav felt he was exactly where he was meant to be. On a bright Saturday afternoon, Arav met his old college roommate, Rohan, at a trendy cafe downtown. Rohan had moved to Bangalore a year ago to join a global tech giant. As they sipped their cold coffees, they laughed about their university days. Rohan spoke with high energy about the fast-paced life in the Silicon Valley of India, describing a world of glass skyscrapers and endless networking. The conversation eventually turned to their careers. With a casual shrug, Rohan mentioned his annual salary. In an instant, the air seemed to leave the room. For doing almost the exact same technical work with the same set of skills, Rohan was earning double what Arav made in Pune. Rohan pulled out his phone to show off a recent company update, his face lit with a triumphant glow. When Arav returned home that evening, the joy that usually filled him had been replaced by a heavy, cold weight. He sat on the edge of his bed, head in his hands, staring at the floor. The lines of code he had been so proud of now felt like proof of his own stagnation. He couldn't stop the bitter question from echoing in his mind. Am I only half as talented as he is? His father, Nitin, noticed the change the moment Arav walked through the door. He saw the slumped shoulders and the way his son avoided eye contact. Nitin didn't offer a lecture or demand an explanation. He knew his son needed a shift in perspective. Nitin grabbed his keys and walked to Arav's door. Put your shoes on, son, Nitin said gently. Let's go for a late evening walk. They walked through the familiar, vibrant streets of their neighborhood until they reached a popular street food stall. The scent of frying spices and hot oil hung thick in the air. 2 Wada Pavs, please, Namdev, Nitin said to the vendor. Namdev, who had run the stall for decades, expertly prepared the snacks and handed them over on scraps of old newspaper. 20 rupees each, Nitin Kaka, Namdev said with a wide smile. As they ate, they passed a large, upscale restaurant with grand glass walls and elegant lighting. Nitin paused and pointed toward the menu displayed in a polished frame outside the entrance. Look there, Arav, he said quietly. The same Wada Pav, the same potato, the same bread, and the same spices costs 50 rupees inside that restaurant. The recipe hasn't changed, only the room. They continued toward the edge of the neighborhood, where the city highway stretched out like a river of light. And if you bought that same snack at the international airport or a 5-star hotel, Nitin continued, it would cost you 300 rupees or more. Arav looked down at the humble snack in his hand, watching the steam rise against the backdrop of the rushing traffic below. Nitin sat down on a quiet park bench and gestured for Arav to join him. You are like that Wada Pav, son, Nitin said earnestly. Your intrinsic worth as an engineer is not defined by the number on a paycheck. Different markets have different price points based on demand and corporate budgets. Rohan is in a different restaurant right now, but that doesn't mean he is a more valuable human being. Nitin leaned back, looking at his son. If you are in a place where you are not valued, don't be angry. It just means you are in the wrong location. But never let a price tag convince you that your worth has changed. Here in Pune, you have your family, your peace, and your growth. Those things aren't on Rohan's paycheck, but they are part of your wealth. Standing on his balcony later that night, Arav looked out at the sprawling lights of Pune. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for his city and the wisdom of his father. He was exactly where he needed to be, growing at a pace that allowed him to actually live. He knew now that his value was inherent, and as long as he kept learning, his future would be as bright as the city he called home.